Welcome everybody. Thank you so much for coming. We're so glad to have you here. My name is Valerie Pugsley and I have the honor and privilege of working with Dr. Mike. And Dr. Mike Johnson, for those of you who don't know him, well actually before I tell you a little bit about Dr. Mike, let me just tell you about some things. So I don't know when you're going to be watching, if you're here live or if you're watching the replay. If you're watching the replay and it is before April 29th, then you'll see a link down below of how to get tickets of more of Dr. Mike if you find that you like him, which most people I've run across, they do. If it's after the 29th or even before, somewhere on the page, because this is on Facebook most likely, or if not, go find his Facebook page. There's a link to get on an email list where he'll send out tips to you on a weekly basis. So now back to what I was saying when I first started, is that myself and my husband, we have the honor and privilege of working with Dr. Mike. He is a certified life coach, and he's been practicing that in the Fullerton area for 17 years. And so a lot of people in the Fullerton area know him, and they will vouch for him as well. So we just have, I don't know, I'm speechless. He makes me speechless. He's just, I can't say enough about how much he's helped both myself and my husband. And he's doing an event at the end of this month on the 29th. But if you're not familiar with him, how would you know you would want to invest your time in this? Well, first of all, I can tell you it's well worth the time and effort. I think my husband would say the same as well. But we thought we would do this little bit of a live presentation and let Dr. Mike talk to you a little bit about some of what he does. And the event that you're doing, it's called Transforming the Victim. Transforming the Victim, right. And then you had a flyer that talked about there's some different lies and things that we believe that keeps us in a victim state.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, human beings do have a lot of things that they have been conditioned to believe or that they tell themselves, and things that are just really not the truth. And what I like to do is distinguish between reality and the truth.
Okay.
And reality is basically, it occurs in language, and it's something that is basically everybody has their own reality. But when you have a consensus on something, then you kind of have a shared reality, but it's based in language.
Language, okay.
Whereas
I'm gonna pause for just
different than.
I'm gonna pause for just a second because I'm gonna let you really take it away, but I just want to let everybody know.
Okay.
So I'm gonna hide myself for just a second here. But if you guys have questions, go ahead and put them in the comments, and we'll break partway through this and answer any questions you have. So just go ahead and put those in the chat box, and then I'm just gonna let Dr. Mike take it away because he just does what he does so well. So take it away.
Oh, thank you.
Take it away.
I want to say hi to Donna and hi to Charlene. I see that you're watching.
Ah, yay.
And basically this workshop I'm having on the 29th is going to be an all-day thing at the Embassy Suites in Brea, and it's going to be starting at 9 o'clock. I'm also going to have a special guest, Gary Strahan. He's a retired sergeant from the Orange County Sheriff's Department, lieutenant, and he's got a business called High Alert, and so he's going to talk about how to not be a victim out on the street, where I'm going to talk about how not to be a victim in your own mind. Because so many people are victims in their mind. They feel like they're at the effect of everything, and that they're really like gosh, if you only knew what just happened to me, that kind of a thing. It's really a total avoidance of responsibility to play the victim, and it's very common. I would say that actually most people at least go in and out of the victim mindset throughout their day. And things are happening to me. Oh gosh, that person cut me off on the freeway. Anytime you find yourself complaining, then you know that basically, you're within that victim mindset. On the other hand, if you have the success mindset that I talk about, It's basically that you're taking responsibility. You're the responsible agent, if you will, instead of the victim of everything. You're just taking a stand that you are. And you really want to see that people who live like that have a whole new sort of a realm of possibilities that open up for them. Like when you're actually responsible for what you feel, how you interpret things, how you experience everything. If you take charge of that, then you're not just like a sitting duck, so to speak, and just waiting for something to happen so you can react. You don't have a reactive mind when you're not playing the victim anymore, when you're taking responsibility. So that's kind of like how I work with people. I notice the areas of their lives where they do feel like a victim and they feel like they don't have a say in their own life or in their own future. I sure hope it turns out okay. A lot of times I hear people say, or I wish I could do that, but I'm just really not very good at that. Or if someone's trying to stop smoking, they'll use the word try. I'm trying to stop. And then I teach them a little bit of quantum physics, that everything has a relational counterpart, and that basically if you're trying to stop, that means you have to smoke, right? So think about things in your own life that you might think that you're trying to do, whether it's trying to lose weight. A lot of things I hear, I'm trying to be a better person, that kind of a thing, as if there is such a thing as a better person than you could be right now. And oftentimes people get caught up in the language that they use. They're using this language which keeps them victimized, keeps them feeling at the effect of what's happening. So what I want to help people do is to cause what happens. Being a Christian, like I am, I also believe in faith. So you're kind of co-creating your life and co-creating your future with God. And that's not being the victim. That's like taking responsibility. And so I have the two words that I put together to designate what I'm talking about. Being responsible and being dependent at the same time, like on God, for example, and other people, being dependent on other people. So I just call it responsible dependency, basically. And that's the mature success mindset. We need other people. We don't want to pretend like we don't. We need to take responsibility for what we need. And then we need to manage those needs and make sure that they get met. So we turn to the people we want to turn to that we believe are going to meet our needs. And of course, God always will. But we end up actually feeling like we're getting some sense of mastery over our life. We're not just sitting ducks. We're not just at the effect of what happens. Problem is, with some people with the word dependency, people don't like to even admit that they are dependent, that they need things. So I kind of joke with them. I say, okay, so let's just shut off the oxygen in the room because you don't need anything. You're independent. I guess the only independent person is someone who's probably in a casket or something. But everybody has needs, and the difference between being a child and an adult is, are you actually taking responsibility for your needs, or are you just sort of like letting other people determine whether or not they get met? So learning how to manage your needs is a very important thing, different than desire. A desire is just something you want. So I kind of believe we need to get most of what we want, but everything that we need. So it's kind of like taking on a new adult mindset, actually, because a lot of people still kind of think like children. They still feel at the effect. They feel like, God, I don't have a say about this. And like you can ask yourself, how do I feel when I see a highway patrol one person behind me or whatnot? And instead of feeling like an adult and saying, hey, well, I'm not breaking any laws. There's no reason that I should be pulled over. And, being a responsible adult here. Whereas the victim mindset is, oh, my God, I'm going to get pulled over even though I haven't done anything wrong. It's like things are always, it's almost like there's a paranoid streak that some people have. So that's some of the stuff that I'm going to be working on in this workshop. I like to distinguish between what's real and the truth, and starting with the ego versus the spirit. And a lot of times people, and there's a lot of different definitions that people can come up with for ego. But the way I think of your ego is it's kind of your mind pretending to be yourself. And it's basically a construct. It's been developed over your developmental years. But it's basically your self-image. It's what you've identified with, how you've identified with things as well. And so ego itself is something that we really need to take a look at. And what I like to talk about is transcending your ego so that you can come from spirit instead. And your ego, the mind, pretending to be yourself. So looking at it like that, you've heard the word egotistic, self-centered, that kind of thing. You've heard narcissistic, kind of things. People talk about it like that. But the ego, for me, is something that you've identified with so many things that aren't you. And it's like Michelangelo, when he was asked how he did the statue of David, he just said, well, I took this big stone and I chipped away everything that wasn't David. And that's kind of cool, because what you're left with is really the essence of what it is there. So if you look at your ego as being maybe even your false self, it's like it's not really who you are. When you've identified with your body, your mind, what you know, what you have, and then you've come to believe this is me. I'm all of these identifications I have. What football team I root for, baseball team I root for. A lot of that is ego. If you take away, the meaning that you're giving it, but you just have a game and somebody's going to win and someone's going to lose. If you identify with it, which most people do, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's kind of fun, actually to have a favorite team, that kind of thing. But that's more of an ego-based kind of a thing rather than a spiritual thing. Your spirit, on the other hand, is who you really are. You're coming from your heart, your spirit, your true self. Basically, getting down to that it's not that easy to do, because we've learned to actually collude in our society with each other and accept the persona of the other person, and as long as they'll accept the persona that we put out there. And the persona is sort of the mask of the ego. It's the face of the ego. The ego also has a dark side, and I'm going to be getting into this on the workshop too. I call it the dark side of the ego. It's kind of like the dark side of the moon, right? There's parts that we don't want to identify with. There's things about us, or feelings that we've had, or ideas or thoughts. And so we push those into the shadow behind us. Carl Jung came up with the ideas of persona and shadow and things like that. And if your shadow is inconsistent, like with basically who you're trying to be on the surface, then you have a tendency to be self-defeating at times and sabotage yourself, especially if in your shadow you have things like shame or guilt that have not been resolved in your life, things that have happened to you and they've never been resolved. And so you're kind of feeling like there's something wrong with you, but you don't want to admit it. That's certainly not going to be what you're going to present to people. But deep down inside, you still might believe that there's something wrong with you. You're not good enough. You don't deserve it. For example, when people win the lottery, the reason I believe a lot of people lose their money is because they don't feel they're worth it. And basically, if they don't feel like they deserve to, I didn't work for it, I didn't do anything except buy a ticket, now I have $20 million. And basically the other aspect is their whole mindset is not that they are a millionaire. They don't see themselves that way. They haven't identified with that. So they don't see themselves as that. And so they get rid of their money. And now they feel less anxious, but depressed. So now, and I like to help people to see that we kind of exist between two walls. In front of us is the anxiety, and behind us is depression. And basically, we want to be able to plow through those things that make us anxious and persevere and continue on and succeed. And so the anxiety will die down. In fact, a small amount of anxiety is good for performance. It really actually helps us. So you want to be a little bit anxious if you're trying for something. If you're playing a big game, and you're up to something big, you know, you really want to have a little bit of anxiety that will help you in your performance. But a lot of times people are so afraid to feel that, they don't want to feel anxious, so they will sabotage themselves, especially if they have shame and don't feel like they deserve it, and they won't let themselves achieve what they want. So this workshop is really kind of about learning how to develop a brand new mindset, and a takeaway that you will have from this will be that you actually experience yourself, what you do and what you have differently in your life. You won't feel like a victim anymore, and you'll know how to counteract it whenever the victim mindset starts to come on. You'll be able to talk to yourself in such a way that you won't allow yourself to feel like, oh, I've just lost out, and I get depressed, or you complain, or you blame other people. That's something that victims do a lot. Procrastinate, victims procrastinate. You know, it's the fear of risking, of taking risks. And one of the things that we need to get good at is risking, because life is full of risks every single day. And you're not going to avoid it. I'm not going to avoid it. Everything's a risk. And so if you get comfortable with risking and being a little bit anxious at times, it's okay. It's okay. And if you've done your homework and you've practiced and you've developed a skill or whatnot, you can use it and actually perform a lot better when you're sort of on that razor's edge, so to speak, rather than backing down and oh, I don't want to try that because I don't think I could ever do that. And, you know, here comes the victim again. And you'll notice that there's been times in your life when you've actually refused to take opportunities. Things have come up and you've just backed down from it and you didn't take a risk. And perhaps later on kind of wish that you would have. So it's kind of a good thing to see that, you know, in your future, you're going to have a lot of different opportunities that come up for you. And I see these as sort of moments of truth, you know. Are you going to be committed to your spiritual self and being inspired and doing it, or are you going to back away from it and say, well, that would have been nice, but, you know, I guess my life's not that bad, you know, that kind of a thing. So that would be more like the victim kind of issue.
Okay. Let me find myself again.
There you are.
Almost here. Hang on, let me show myself. There I are. So it's interesting, you talk a lot about language and the things that we say to ourselves, and I know even before we started working together, that was something that I was working on, is the things that I would say. But you take it to a whole nother level, I think, in terms of I think by ourselves, and just with the information that I had, I still was dealing kind of in a victim area, but didn't really see it, you know, those places. And so I think what you said about how you're good at being able to see where, you said at the beginning, it's like you're good at being able to see where we're being a victim, or where something in our life is, you know, kind of off. And I mean, that's true for all of us. I think we all need that, because it's hard for us to see for ourselves. We need somebody else to, you know, bounce off of things. But with all your all your training and stuff, you can like spot it like that, right?
Yeah, it's like a good auto mechanic, and he listens to your engine. He can tell you what's wrong with your car.
Right, right.
You know, I mean, I've been doing this for so long.
So that's interesting. You bring up the idea of an auto mechanic. Would you say that, at least for the individual, that this event on the 29th is kind of maybe a little bit of a diagnostic for them? They'll be able to see the areas in their life in a better way that...
Yes, absolutely. In fact, I have a lot of several different questionnaires that people are going to be able to take, and they're not that long, but they're going to be able to get a sense and hone in on how much victim mentality they have, how much shame they have, how responsible are they being, things like that. You know, there's going to be just a little bit of that. It's not going to be a lot, but enough to where people can, like you say, oh, yeah, I can see that I'm playing the victim in this area of my life, or that I'm not taking responsibility, in this area, or that I do have shame and I didn't even know what to call it. I just had this feeling that I'm not worth it, kind of a thing.
Right. And I think we hear the word fear a lot, and, we've got our nice little acronyms, right? Like false evidence appearing real, or fake, face everything and rise, those kind of things. But would you say if we're having fear that's a good indication that somewhere there's some victim stuff going on?
Yeah, there really could be, unless it's an actual situation that is actually threatening to you.
Right.
A lot of situations, if you don't have the proper amount of fear, you're not going to act accordingly. So you really need to be in touch with why you're afraid of something. And is it really a threat or not?
So I guess I'm thinking of it from a business perspective, because we're involved together in a networking group, and so a lot of times people won't make a phone call, or they'll think that people are thinking certain things about them or whatever, and that's really coming from kind of that not healthy, that victim fear.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, but you're right, and that's why you're having this other gentleman, because God did give us that fear mechanism, that there is a time when, hey, we need to listen to this, and we need to get out of this. You drive down the wrong street in a certain city, and you're like, I need to get out of here now.
Yeah. Gary Strahan is amazing in terms of being able to identify in his surroundings the possibilities of negative things that could happen. He's actually my martial arts instructor that I was with him for several years, and he actually gave me my black belt in Hapkido.
Very cool.
So, and he's a good friend. And so he's going to be coming, and he's going to be talking about not just his business, but he's going to be talking and teaching a room full of people, basically some of the things to look out for themselves, so that they can not be a victim out there. And because a lot of times people don't pay attention. People walk along and they look at their cell phone, and any number of possibilities could be happening that could be negative to them, but they're not noticing, because they're just paying attention to their cell phone.
Right. They're being present with their phone and not the world around them. Right?
Yeah, not the world around them. So they have no idea what's
happening. Yeah. So anybody who's watching this on the replay, or coming in partway, if you're coming in partway, go ahead and be sure to watch the beginning part. Dr. Mike told a little bit about some of his perspectives that he's coming at. We're going to, if you have some questions, go ahead and put them in the comments below, and we'll try to answer them for you. Even if it's after the fact, go ahead and put the questions in, because...
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, feel free.
Yeah, put those questions that you have in there, and Dr. Mike can come back in, check in every day or so, and see if you have any questions after you've watched the video. So there's a link down at the bottom, how to get the tickets. So it's a bit.ly link, bit.ly TV for Transform the Victim, 4/1/2017. It's going to be in Brea I have it here, at the Embassy Suites at 900 East Birch Street in Brea, from 8:30 to 5 p.m. on Saturday the 29th. And so there's all different kinds of events, right? There's just talking events. And you were saying earlier, though, that this event's going to be more of an experience. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, there's going to be some experiences that people will be able to have in the group that will illustrate some of the points that I'm making. And, some people might feel some feelings that they haven't felt in a long time. Basically, what I want to help people do is to gain a sense of personal freedom. The freedom to be yourself, to do what you want to do, and to have what you want to have. And, you can't be playing the victim and be your authentic self at the same time. So you have to choose. And so you'll get the tools that you need to be able to actually spot it in yourself Get outside of it, get off it, stop complaining, stop blaming, take responsibility for yourself, take action, and go for what you really want.
Okay, sweet. So, so for what I'm hearing is not only are we going to get a diagnostic to find out what needs fixing, we're gonna get to experience some things so that we can recognize it when we're moving forward and we're not at the event, and you're going to give us some tools as well to do the tweaking afterwards.
Absolutely, yeah.
What
yeah, you're going to have a whole bunch of stuff to take with you.
What a deal. That sounds like great. And I don't think we haven't talked about the price. I had it up earlier. I don't know if I still have it up. Let's see, what is it? Do you remember the price? I'm sorry, I forgot to pull
that
up.
The price is $150 for the day, but if you use if you belong to CBP or BNI, or if you just use the promo code alumni, and if you want to use that code, you can get it $50 off.
Oh, okay. Very cool.
And if more than one person, then it's $75 each.
Okay. Sweet. What a deal. Get your loved ones and your family members there too.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think that's what's been very good for my husband and I, because we're working. Not only have we gone to your events, but we've also started working with you. And that's something that I would encourage somebody, if there's a family member maybe that you think could use this, you know how it's always like, hey, you need this, right? Well, we need it too. But if they're not, maybe you think that counseling would be something good for you, but your spouse or your child or your significant other, they're not willing. This is a good way for them to experience you. That's what we did, and so it's kind of I think a less threatening way.
Yeah, and I call it relationship coaching, and it's not so much counseling or therapy, but it's more coaching. It's more like giving you the tools to relate to each other better, understanding yourself a little bit better, having more insight. And one of the things I work on is emotional intelligence, which actually is a more important kind of intelligence than IQ. It's emotional intelligence is your insight level into yourself, how much you can have empathy for other people, manage your emotions, and make decisions in situations that are going to benefit everyone involved, including yourself, of course.
Okay, yeah, cool. And again, is that in reference to when you're working with people on one-to-one or for this event?
In the event too, we will have some emotional intelligence aspects to that as well.
Yeah, for me, what was good is that I didn't know if my husband would like you or not, and so just to come to this event where there's other people and it's more of a conference or seminar or whatever, it's just a little less threatening, I think.
Yes, absolutely.
For somebody who doesn't know you, they haven't met you. And it's a great way, and one of the stories that I always tell is because, especially at the time when we first started working with you, my husband and I were both in two very different places, because I had been doing a lot of personal development for the last few years, and he had not. So we were like two very different perspectives, and the fact that you were able to speak to both of us in a way that both of us could relate to and that both of us were receptive to, I think that was kind of a key. So I think that's one of your unique gifts as well, and just how you're you, and yet it relates to each person in the room. They pick up on something that they can resonate with.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So, very cool. And we had some people. Awesome. We had some people. Charlene was saying in the comments that yes, very good. She gives you the stamp of approval as well. So,
awesome.
So I don't see that we have any other questions. But again, just if you missed earlier what we talked about, that you're going to get some diagnostic tools. You're going to get some practice experiencing things so that you know what it looks like when you're living it out in the world, and you're going to get some tools so that you can move forward, be your authentic self, and be able to get the things that you're going after in life, whatever that is.
Absolutely. I call it a success mindset.
I like that. a success mindset. So if you're watching this and it's before April 29th and you live anywhere near the North Orange County area, or you can get there and be there on the 29th, I hope you'll join us at the Embassy Suites, 900 East Birch Street in Brea, California. Use the link at the bottom of the screen here to get your tickets. It is an all-day event, 8:30 to 5, but it'll be so worth it for you. I just can't tell you how much the things that we've been learning from Dr. Mike has been helping us. I know it will do the same for you. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below. And if you happen to be watching this after the 29th, if this is on the Facebook page, there will be a link up there to get Dr. Mike's weekly email that he sends out with tips to help you stay with that success mindset. So I highly encourage everybody to come. And is there anything else, any parting words you'd like to say before we end this?
Well, I'm just very excited. I look forward to it. It's going to be a great day. I look forward to giving to people and helping people, sharing with the things that I've learned, and how I live my life and how I think and how I feel. And I love people to be set free, to feel like, oh my gosh, this is so great to be me. And so I tell people, when you get up in the morning, first thing you say is, I love being me.
I love being me. Okay. That's a new one. I'll have to work on that. I don't know if I've done that one. I usually thank you, Lord, for this day.
Yeah.
But then after that, I guess I need to do the thank you for who you made me, or whatever, something like that.
Of course. Absolutely.
Yeah, very cool.
I think we're all awesome. Everybody's awesome. I mean, there's greatness within us, and we just need to tap into that and not be afraid of it.
And not be afraid of it. Cool. And I love the word freedom. You use that word a lot. That's, I think, one of my key words that I like is freedom. So,
yes.
I think a lot of people like freedom.
Oh yeah, having the courage to be
having the courage to be free. Very, very cool. Well, thank you everybody who showed up live. Replay viewers, please feel free to leave your comments down below.